Fenwick and Colonel Hardy. Yeah, I thought so too. That was my initial thought about, Harry Lennox, who
Yeah.
played a general, some sort of army. I thought it was General Lane.
That's what I read in the first plot synopsis I read. I heard it was General Lane. I was surprised too when I heard that it wasn't going to be him.
This is just a rumor I heard. I don't know whether or not it's Christopher Maloney, who's playing Colonel Hardy, whether he's going to have the Metallo armor or not. That was a rumor I heard.
Ooh.
Although I would love to see that because after reading Superman Secret Origin, where Superman fights Metallo, it was a pretty good subplot that they added. So I don't know if they're going to add that to the Man of Steel or not, but if they do, it would be very cool to see.
Yeah, we've never seen a big screen Metallo before. He was in both TV shows, Lois and Clark and Smallville, but we've never seen him on the big screen before. And I think seeing a very Terminator-esque Metallo would be fantastic.
Right.
I want to kind of bring up Kryptonite for a second. How present do you think Kryptonite should be in the film?
Krypton?
No, Kryptonite, like, The Rock.
I don't know. I honestly didn't think much about what kind of role they'll have the Kryptonite in. I just thought it was just gonna. I thought it was just gonna be either in there or not. But, I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I never thought about it before.
Well, I bring it up because I have a very interesting thought on it, I think. Remember, in Superman 2, there is not one drop of Kryptonite in that movie. It's all Zod fighting Superman and the Superman losing his powers because of the red sun energy. And I think that if, like what you said before, that this is going to aim to be more of a remake of Superman 2, that they might not have Kryptonite in this movie. Which I actually wouldn't mind, because I think in the movies, especially Superman Returns and Superman 4 and 3, they really overused Kryptonite to the point where it was just getting a little crazy. And it's also because Superman has a lot more weaknesses than Kryptonite. He's got magic, which you could incorporate, but there's also stuff like in the fact that the more recent Superman isn't as strong as he used to be in the comics. He's not really as bulletproof as he used to be, and that's why in the comics right now he's wearing like armor and stuff. But I actually think that if they exclude Kryptonite or at least mention it and it's not used against Superman, I think it'd be cool to have that and show audiences who may be used to the film version of Superman, where he's always going up against Kryptonite. It might be interesting to see how they react to, realizing that Superman has more weaknesses than Kryptonite.
Right.
So, yeah, let's talk about that too. How present do you want Krypton to be in it?
Honestly, in my mind, I could imagine like the first 30 minutes of the film be focused on Krypton and
So could I.
Jor-El's, in his actions on what he's going to do, whether to save it or save his son. In Superman the Animated Series, the first episode, it was mainly focused on Jor-El and his efforts with the trying to save Krypton and is now to save his son. And I kind of imagine like the first half of the movie should be like that, or the first 10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we know we're gonna see Krypton because of Russell Crowe playing Jor-El, and the fact that we're gonna see Zod again. And I think that if you're gonna do Kryptonian villains, then I think you're gonna inevitably have to have some kind of a subplot that has payoff for Krypton as being destroyed. And I think it's gonna be very important to see what Krypton was like before it exploded for new audience members who aren't particularly familiar with Superman's backstory, and showing them how Zod connects to Superman. And one idea I had was almost to directly connect Zod to the destruction of Krypton. Like, maybe not like have him directly destroy it, but maybe he makes some kind of super mistake as a military leader, and that's why they lock him up in the Phantom Zone. and that leads to Krypton's destruction.
Right.
So yeah, I want Krypton to be very present.
Speaking of connecting Zod to that, I read on comicbookmovie.com about these possible spoilers that supposedly were leaked, and I managed to save this, and I kind of want to go into this. I'm just going to name a few spoilers that the possible details that come from the Man of Steel.
So yeah, close your ears if you don't want to know.
Huh?
No, I was talking to the audience. Just close your ears if you don't want to know.
Alright. Brainiac destroys Krypton and may be set up to be the villain in the sequel, if there is one.
Yeah. I heard that too.
Krypton will not be the crystalline version like the Donner films, but will incorporate technology, which is now considered definite Kryptonian technology with a more alien contemporary feel.
Yeah.
The Kryptonians featured will be Jor-El, Zod, Thor, and Jax-Ur. Laura Morvan was mentioned in earlier drafts, but not a sure thing as the scripts are changing.
Yeah.
Originally, Zack Snyder wanted John Hamm to play Jor-El, which, obviously did not happen.
Yeah.
There are flashback scenes related to Zod and will feature Krypton despite the lawsuit stuff.
Ah, yeah.
Jax-Ur was a close friend to Jor-El, who was exiled to the Phantom Zone, and is now working with Zod to free themselves, which they do. Zod and the Phantom Zone criminals escape and find Smallville by locking onto Kal-El's ship, which is buried in a field. And this one's interesting. Zod, Thor, and Jax-Ur just don't go all out and start attacking and invading Earth. They initially tried to blend in and get accustomed to all their surroundings, but think the Earth is dirty and smells, and that the humans are wasting a perfect planet. They then start to formulate a plan to make it a better new Krypton.
Yeah. Which is an idea taken from Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
Because they had an episode like that.
Huh?
They had an episode in Superman the Animated Series where Jax-Ur tried to do that.
Oh, really?
He tried to make a new Krypton, yeah. It was a two-parter.
Well, this is probably an inspiration, but...
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Zod's main goal is to make a new Krypton using Earth, with him as the leader. Plans to use Faora to start a new perfect Kryptonian bloodline, and Jax-Ur to use his vast scientific knowledge to accelerate technology on Earth. Zod and Lex Luthor do have interactions, with LexCorp being the most advanced company on the planet. Zod plans to use LexCorp's technology and advance it to Kryptonian levels, as it's the most compatible.
Ah.
It says here that in the first draft, there was no Fortress of Solitude. And,
that's interesting.
that's one of the main, that's a few details that they leaked, supposedly.
Actually, the last thing you mentioned with Zod working with LexCorp could definitely be a setup for Brainiac. Because that's what Brainiac's whole thing is, that he uses LexCorp to build himself a new body and try to take over the Earth and turn it into a new Krypton as well, I think. Or his wasn't specifically Krypton, it was more of just like a machine-based planet. And I think having Brainiac in the film would definitely kind of cement this as going to be a franchise. And I like the idea of waiting to do Lex Luthor as the villain. That's good, because he's been done way too much in live action, I think. He's an overexposed villain, I think.
Right. I want to talk about the Superman symbol, the one, the S on his chest.
Yeah.
It kind of looks similar to the Christopher Reeve one. I thought that they were going to reinvent the S symbol, since this is a reboot. I recently saw this fan-made poster for the Man of Steel, and all it basically had was Superman's chest and the S symbol in the middle, and it looked very sharp and
that was my reaction.
I was expecting like a reinvention of the
Uh-huh.
I just thought that they could have stayed away from the Christopher Reeve S version of Superman's emblem and go with a much more Kryptonian alien-like version.
Yeah.
But one that doesn't stray away from being alien-like to English. keep it simple, like the S, but make it look like futuristic and alien-like.
Yeah. It definitely looks different. Looking at the new Superman suit, it looks sharper, like you said, and it also looks a little bit more kind of slanted, which Christopher Reeve's suit also kind of had. And I actually think that they are going a little closer to the Christopher Reeve S than what's been done in the comics. With the kind of the line that starts off the S, like the top of the S, it's more slanted like Christopher Reeve's suit, where in the comics it's like straight. But it definitely has its own unique flavor to it. It doesn't look like it's just trying to repeat Christopher Reeve's his emblem. It looks definitely very unique.
Yeah. I want to talk about the costume now, the new costume for Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yeah, totally. Let's do that.
What do you think of it? There's some, it seems more scaly than what we're used to. More
yeah.
Cloth. And there's these new things that they added to Superman's wrist and waist. Obviously, the red underwear is missing. But what do you think of it?
Well, I wasn't too surprised with how it looked, because I brought this up when we were talking before we started recording. Superman in the comics right now looks very, very different from what we're used to. That's because of the lawsuit that happened between the creators of Superman, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Their families sued DC Comics because they wanted to have the rights to the original Superman back. And part of the original costume that's not there anymore, that was the only thing that kind of stayed throughout Superman's comic run, was the red underwear. So they had to take that away. They couldn't get the cape because the cape looks hugely different nowadays than it did back in 1938, because now it's got the S emblem on the back of it as well. So they couldn't get the cape, thank God, because I mean, I can't imagine seeing a Superman without a cape. But I think the costume looks fantastic. If you see Superman in the comics right now, in the new Superman series, and with what they're leading up to with Action Comics, is a very armory-looking Superman that looks like Christopher Nolan's Batman armor, but Superman. And actually, I was pretty surprised that they didn't go with that for the movie. It does look very similar, which is a good thing, but they didn't go with the armory design like they do in the comics now. They went for a more kind of scaly design, like you said, kind of like scale mail, kind of like what Captain America has in the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah.
And I like that, and I guess they're going to try to make Superman a little bit more bulletproof and stronger than what he is in the comics right now, if they're not going to go for the armor thing. But yeah, definitely missing the red underwear. It looks very unusual to me. But it looks fantastic nonetheless. The belt that they're using definitely is kind of a mistake, because in the comics right now it's a red belt to kind of account for the fact that there's no underwear, and it looks a little better. So I don't know why they didn't just go with a red belt, because it definitely would have looked a little bit more like it's accounting for the underwear missing. But otherwise, it's a fantastic update. It's very modern looking, and yet it still looks like Superman.
Right, definitely. The new Superman suit, I have to say, it's one of my favorite incarnations of the Superman suit.
Yeah, mine too.
Usually in the past, mostly in the comic books, the Superman suits often they edge more on Christopher Reeve's cloth-like Superman suit.
Yeah.
I have never seen a reinvention of the Superman suit quite like this, besides the Superman Lives armored one, and Stan Winston's Superman armor suit. But this is a great reinvention. If you're going to reinvent Superman for a new audience, this is the way to do it.
Absolutely.